Luo Feng swiftly rushed down the stairs from the 6th floor all the way to the 1st floor and arrived at the back door of the hotel. Luo Feng looked around. There aren't any large monster hordes around. A bit troublesome. Luo Feng frowned. He could see a few monsters with a glance, but there weren't many of them, which didn't meet the requirements of his plan. Since he wanted the other 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad to believe that Zhang, Zhe and Xiao were killed by monsters. After that, Luo Feng sprinted along the alleyway. After running out of the alleyway, he saw a huge horde of horned boars not too far away. There were at least a few hundred of them. If a normal fighter saw them, they wouldn't even have time to hide, but Luo Feng let out a smile. That's them. Luo Feng swiftly approached. Howl. Many of the single-horned wild boars stared at this human martial artist, only to hear an angry roar coming from the herd of single-horned wild boars. This was the leader of this herd. Suddenly, the horde of horned boars spread their hooves and crazily charged towards Luo Feng. In an instant, the entire street started shaking. Rumbled, the horde of boars charged. *CK, I was planning on killing 1 or 2 monsters first to make them hate me even more. Who would have thought that they would catch up to me so easily? Luo Feng turned around and ran towards the alleyway. Rumble. The alleyway was quite wide, so the 2 horned boars could pretty much run side by side. Luo Feng ran in front while the horde of horned boars crazily chased behind. Poochie. Poochie. 2 black lights circled behind Luo Feng and returned to Luo Feng's side. Suddenly, one of the 2 horned boars in front died on the spot and the other had a huge wound on its body. In an instant, the horde of horned boars roared even louder. They were clearly even more furious. The angrier, the better. Luo Feng was like lightning as he sprinted up the stairs from the back door of the hotel. The horned boars crazily sprinted up one after another. The quality of this concrete staircase was quite good. Even after a few decades, it could still withstand the speed of the horned boars. Under Luo Feng's deliberate control, he was around 10 meters ahead of the horde and reached his destination, the 6th floor. On the 6th floor, under the control of Luo Feng's spiritual force, Zhang Zehu's machete and Li Zhao's machine gun floated in the air. The machine gun even had a long chain of bullets attached to it. The machine gun floated in front of Luo Feng and so did the machete. Howl. The monsters rushed into the 6th floor like a flood. They immediately followed the hallway and madly rushed towards Luo Feng. Come. Luo Feng grinned and a crazed look appeared in his eyes. He used his spiritual force to pull the trigger, and the thick barrel of the machine gun roared. Bullets crazily shot out and entered the body of the horned boar. Furthermore, the charging force of each horned wild boar was extremely exaggerated. The impact of bullets was simply unable to stop them. Poochie. The hovering machete danced wildly, slicing through the throats of the horned wild boars one by one. These horned wild boars that had lost control crashed into the walls beside them. Rumble. The walls of the room collapsed and cracked. With the combined power of the machine gun bullets and machete, they managed to kill dozens of horned wild boars in one go. Their corpses littered the corridor. Howl, followed by an angry roar. A gigantic horned wild boar with silver and black spots on its fur appeared. But at this time, the machete and machine gun fell beside the 2 corpses in the room. Luo Feng himself swiftly jumped down from the window of a room on the north side. Whoosh. Luo Feng sprinted down from the 6th floor like a bolt of lightning. He used his spiritual force on his bracers and created a supporting force, reducing the force of his descent. Luo Feng easily landed on the roof of a 2-story building. He swiftly sprinted, jumped into an alleyway and quickly disappeared. The horned wild boars, who had lost dozens of monsters, were angrily rampaging through the dilapidated hotel, looking for that hateful human martial artist. They didn't find that human martial artist, but they found 2 delicious human martial artist corpses. These horned wild boars immediately started tearing at the flesh of the human corpses. To the horned boars, human flesh is indeed delicious. Even more horned boars started tearing at the corpses of the dead horned boars. For monsters that live in such a harsh environment, they rarely eat humans. Most of the time they eat the corpses of other monsters. As wild monsters, it's normal for them to eat the corpses of their own kind. Soon, whether it's the human corpses or the horned boar corpses, they all turned into a pile of bones. Luo Feng returned to his original place and silently observed. Around 2 hours later, the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad returned. Luo Feng finally saw the 7 people in his line of sight. That's right, the roars of monsters can be heard everywhere in number 003 city. The battle happened inside the hotel. And the Thunderbolt Squad was a few miles away, so it's not strange that they didn't notice. At the entrance of the hotel, the 7 high-spirited members of the Thunderbolt Squad smiled as they walked back. Young Master's blade was truly beautiful. It accurately sliced through the throat of that commander-level quick wolf. The Tiger Fang captain smiled as he complimented. However, his smile suddenly froze. The Tiger Fang captain looked towards the inside of the hotel. The other members of the Thunderbolt Squad also looked towards the inside of the hotel. The smell of blood. The veteran named Lu directly walked into the hotel and the others followed. The smell of blood is even thicker. A large-scale battle happened here. 1 or 2 monsters wouldn't have such a thick smell of blood. The Tiger Fang captain frowned. The one-eyed middle-aged man on the side immediately pressed the tactical communications watch in his hand and yelled, "Tiger Xiao! Tiger Xiao, hurry up and reply." What happened? The faces of the 4 members of the Tiger Fang squad changed. "Captain, they didn't reply." The one-eyed middle-aged man looked towards the captain. Maybe they didn't notice the watch vibrating. The bald brute couldn't help but to say. Fighters are so sensitive, how could they not notice it? The Tiger Fang captain said in a low voice. Let's go up and take a look. Let's go up and take a look, said the veteran named Lu. The old man surnamed Lu said. Immediately, the 7 of them arrived at the staircase. When they saw the marks on the staircase, their expressions changed. It was obvious that the staircase had just been trampled on. Many of the concrete and cement had been trampled until it was cracked. All right. Everyone be careful. Carefully, the 7 of them slowly moved forward. No matter how slow they were, it didn't take long for them to reach the 6th floor. Whew. The 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad all sucked in a breath of cold air. The 6th floor of the hotel was clearly the most chaotic. It was a complete mess, and even some of the walls of the hotel rooms had collapsed. The floor was covered in blood, and there were also large amounts of corpses and bones. Most of them were the remains of monsters. The hearts of the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad sunk. They knew that Zhang, Zehu and Xiao were probably dead. Look, there's a hole in the wall. There's quite a bit of bullet casings here. It should be Xiao firing to stop the monster horde. Too bad there were too many monsters. Everyone quickly found many traces. After a while, everyone saw the tattered battle uniforms, the slightly deformed machete that had been stepped on, the completely deformed machine gun and a few human bones. Tiger's machete and Zhao's gun. These 2 battle uniforms. The battle uniforms were extremely sturdy. Even though they had been bitten by the horned boar and became tattered, they could still be seen. They were Zhang, Zehu and Li Zhao's battle uniforms. How could this be? The bald brute couldn't help but grit his teeth. How could Xiao and the others be so unlucky to meet a monster horde in their room? Let's go, we're going downstairs. The old veteran named Lu suddenly ordered. Go downstairs? The one-eyed middle-aged man, the bald brute and Adong were all shocked, and then a trace of anger appeared on their faces. The Tiger Fang captain frowned and roared. All right, let's tidy up Tiger and Zhao's belongings. We're going downstairs. Since the captain said so, of course they wouldn't dare to refuse. After a while, the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad stood in the lobby of the 1st floor of the hotel. Everyone should know. The Tiger Fang captain Panya said in a low voice. With Tiger and Zhao's vigilance, even if a monster horde entered the hotel, the 2 of them had more than a 50% chance of escaping. Even if they couldn't escape, logically speaking, they should be able to notify us through their watches when they discover danger. The other members' faces slightly changed as they nodded. Right, the old veteran named Lu nodded. The strange thing is that before they died they didn't contact us. So I'm worried that someone purposely set this up and left a listening device at the scene. That's why I told everyone to go downstairs and discuss. The Tiger Fang members couldn't help but look at the old veteran named Lu. To be able to instantly determine and make a decision, the older the ginger, the spicier. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that it's a commander-level monster. After discovering their tracks, they quietly ambushed them. After that, a large amount of monsters rushed up. In a chaotic situation, the 2 of them didn't have the chance to contact us. The old veteran named Lu said again. The 4 members of the Tiger Fang squad looked at each other. The mixed youth had a worried expression on his face. The old veteran named Lu laughed in a low voice. Don't worry, young master. Even if someone set this up, they wouldn't be targeting you. War God level fighters don't use these kinds of methods, and warlord level fighters wouldn't dare to mess with young master. Senior Lu, for the sake of young master's safety, let's return to the headquarters city. The Tiger Fang captain Panya said. The hotel was filled with the stench of blood, causing the Tiger Fang captain Panya's heart to be filled with worry. Huzi and the others might have been killed by a monster. However, it's more likely that a fighter did something behind the scenes. And normal fighters wouldn't dare to offend young master Li Wei. It must be someone who has a grudge against the Tiger Fang squad. He was very clear about this young master's identity. Even though he was mixed, this young master's father was Chinese. Whether it's his father's strength or his background. Nobody would dare to mess with this young master Li Wei. No need, the old veteran named Lu waved his hand. With me and Ka Long here, young master's safety is definitely not a problem. The white brute also looked at the members of the Tiger Fang squad and laughed coldly. Young master Li Panya couldn't help but to look towards the mixed youth. My training plan hasn't ended yet, frowned the mixed youth. Senior Lu slightly frowned. As a fighter, you walk on the border of life and death. How can you be so afraid for something uncertain? What achievements will you have in the future? Panya and the others were speechless. You 4 can just keep following us. That should be fine, right? After Senior Lu said this, Panya and the other members of the Tiger Fang squad exchanged glances and gave up on the idea of returning to the headquarters city. In their hearts they were clear. That following 2 advanced warlords was indeed extremely safe. Senior Lu is right. If we're afraid of wolves in front and tigers behind, are we still fighters? If someone really dares to ambush us, then we'll kill them. A cold light flashed across Panya's eyes. We'll listen to Senior Lu, laughed the one-eyed middle-aged man. The members of the Tiger Fang squad all expressed that they would listen to Senior Lu. This place is filled with the stench of blood. Let's go somewhere else, said Senior Lu. Right after that, the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad left the Jinjiang hotel chain. LuoFeng used binoculars to silently observe where he was hiding. Sure enough, they left the Jinjiang hotel chain. In LuoFeng's field of vision, the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad left the hotel and walked along the street for a while before disappearing from LuoFeng's field of vision. Damn, this villa is a bit low so I can't see far. Luo Feng swiftly put on his backpack, shield, and blade and sprinted out of the villa like a leopard. He sprinted and directly rushed into a high-rise residential building. This residential building has a total of 18 floors. Luo Feng's shield, blade, etc. were all supported by his spiritual force, causing Luo Feng's speed to be extremely fast. A phantom kept flashing on the stairs. Whoosh. In just a few seconds he had jumped from the first floor to the 18th floor. In a room on the 18th floor, Luo Feng stood by the window on the north side and looked down with a pair of binoculars. Since he was high enough he could see more clearly. Soon enough, he saw the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad walking on the edge of the street. These 7 people slowly walked forward for a while before finally entering a ruined 6-story residential building. I don't know if my arrangements will work. Luo Feng squinted his eyes. Whether or not they will work, we can only leave it to fate. Continue to wait for an opportunity. Luo Feng continued his days of waiting. As a martial artist, one must first have enough patience and perseverance. Without patience and perseverance, how could one possess such astonishing strength? Naturally, Luo Feng silently waited by himself, which was completely within his tolerance range. On the first day, the Thunderbolt Squad went hunting again in the afternoon. This time, the 7 of them set off together. On the second day, the Thunderbolt Squad went out in the morning and afternoon to let their mixed young master train. Again, the 7 of them set off together. Luo Feng had no chance. On the third day, they went out in the morning and afternoon again. Again, the 7 of them set off together. Looks like this Tiger Feng squad is really suspicious. Luo Feng sat on the slightly cleaned bed in his bedroom and silently looked outside through the window. It was already deep into the night and the sky was filled with stars. The starlight shone through the window into the room. However, there was a faint smell of blood in the air. What should I do? Luo Feng frowned. Looks like if this continues, that mixed young master's training program will end and he'll return to the headquarters city. One. Luo Feng felt the tactical communications watch on his wrist vibrate. He lowered his head and saw that it was a call from his brother. Call me back, Luo Feng commanded. Beep, 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 hello bro. Luo Hua's voice carried from the watch. Luo Hua, why did you call me? Luo Feng's face was full of smiles. He was very happy inside. The days of hunting others in the wilderness were very lonely. Being able to chat with his family at home warmed his heart. You miss me, I guess. Luo Hua looked very relaxed and happy. Bro, I've made a fortune in the stock market recently. I've made a fortune. It's great. Oh, how did you earn it? Luo Feng smiled and asked. Luo Hua was full of excitement. Of the 8 stocks I've been speculating in, 6 of them are blue chip stocks, and the other 2 are purely short-term stocks. The quality of this blue chip stock was very good, and the annual net profit rate was also very high. Among the 6 blue chip stocks, one of them started to plummet. I was shocked. I thought there was something wrong with the company. After a careful check, he did not find any problems with this company. Damn it, if it was a short-term investment, I would have to cut my own flesh from this drop. But I am very confident in these blue chip stocks and I would rather hold them for a long time. You didn't find anything wrong with the company? What are you afraid of? If it falls, I'll buy it. I kept buying in stages. Damn, it fell for around 10 days. It fell by around 50%, and I spent around 80% of my money to buy it. Who would have thought that it would start to rise like crazy in these past 10 days? In less than 20 days, not only did it return to its original price, but it even slightly exceeded it. Damn, with just this amount of money. The funds I was working with had doubled. Ah, that's great. Luo Feng could feel his brother's excitement from the voice on his watch. Amazing, much better than your brother. Luo Feng smiled as he complimented, don't you have around 100 million now? Luo Feng gave his brother 50 million last time, so his capital should be around 80 million. Yeah, right now I have around 170 million, laughed Luo Hua. Bro, it's mainly because you gave me a lot of money. Luo Hua chuckled, brother, it's mainly because you gave me a lot of money. If I didn't have enough capital, how could I have earned so much? He also earned double. If he only had 10,000, he would only have 20,000. If he had 80 to 90 million, he would have 170 to 180 million. This is why people say that the first million is the hardest to earn and the second million is the easiest. You're amazing. Your brother I killed in the wilderness for 2 months and earned less than 100 million, said Luo Feng. However, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. No wonder people in finance are so good at making money. This is the same as making money with money. The more capital you have, the more money you earn. Of course, you lose a lot of money too. However, brother, this kind of opportunity doesn't come by often, laughed his brother. His brother has been trading stocks for a few years now. Earning so much money in such a short amount of time is indeed rare. Okay. Luo Feng started operating his tactical communications watch as he thought. He entered his bank account and transferred 180 million to his brother's account. Ah, exclaimed Luo Hua, brother, there's more money in my account. Your brother I recently earned a lot of money. This is for you to trade stocks. Try your best. If one day you can reach 15 billion, I'll give you a big surprise. Your brother I will give you a big surprise. Laughed Luo Feng. Luo Feng never told his brother about the elixir of life, since it's too expensive. However, according to Luo Feng's plan, he'll earn money and his brother will earn money. He would give some of his own money to his younger brother to invest in stocks. If he kept making more money, it might not be impossible for him to reach 30 billion. 15 billion? Luo Hua exclaimed. Don't worry, I will lend you quite a bit of capital as well. Luo Feng laughed. When the time comes, his brother's money, along with his own money, will probably amount to 30 billion. Once he had money, he would think of a way to buy the water of life so that his brother could stand up again. Okay brother, I will definitely work hard. Luo Hua was in high spirits. Okay, Luo Feng smiled as he replied, alright, you should rest early too. Okay brother, you have to be careful in the wilderness. The two brothers quickly hung up the phone. In Mingyue sector's Luo Feng's home, in his brother's room on the first floor, Luo Hua, who was sitting on his wheelchair, excitedly closed his phone and then turned on his computer to chat. Huazi, you look very happy, the girl in the video said with a smile. Hee, of course I'm happy. Luo Hua excitedly chatted with the girl in the video. This girl had a bit of baby fat on her face and she had short hair. She looked very delicate and clean. This was Luo Hua's girlfriend, Xiao Nan. Because Xiao Nan's university is in this area, even if she goes to university she still sleeps at home. Xiao Nan was currently in her bedroom, video chatting with Luo Hua on her computer. And outside of the bedroom in the living room, a middle-aged couple was sitting on the living room sofa. Even though they were watching TV, their attention was clearly not on the TV. What do we do? The middle-aged woman said worriedly, it's not like you don't know Xiao Nan's temper. If we forcefully break them up, Xiao Nan will definitely hate us. So be it. We're doing this for her own good. The middle-aged man couldn't help but to say angrily, she's never suffered since she was young. Does she think she's living in a fairy tale? Even though we're not from a rich family, we're still living a good life. Our daughter's looks aren't bad, so why does she have to be with a cripple? That cripple's brother is a fighter. So what if he's a fighter? It's not like his brother is dating our daughter. No matter what, I can't just watch our daughter jump into a pit of fire. If Oldly didn't tell me, I wouldn't even know that our daughter is dating that cripple in Mingyue sector. I'm so mad, the middle-aged man's face was green. The middle-aged woman hurriedly said, don't be angry, there's no point in being angry. You only have one daughter, so what can you do? The most important thing now is to think of a way to separate our daughter from that cripple, and try not to hurt our daughter's heart. I understand. The middle-aged man frowned and went silent as he took puffs of his cigarette. The hall was filled with smoke and became silent. Only the tick-tock of the mechanical clock could be heard. The morning of the second day, 003 city's atmosphere was as cold as usual. Waves of heart-palpitating monster roars could be heard from the city. The Jiangnan-based city could be described as a brand-new city full of vitality. Decades ago, the most prosperous city in China had now become a paradise for monsters. Dried blood could be seen everywhere and corpses could be seen everywhere. This was a demon's den. In the top floor room of an 18-story building that was covered in dust, Luo Feng, who was wearing a battle uniform, held a pair of binoculars in one hand as he stared down. In the other he held a piece of jerky. He chewed and swallowed. Chewed and swallowed. In the room that was filled with the marks of time, there was only the sound of Luo Feng chewing the jerky. It was extremely silent. Gulp. Luo Feng took out his water bag and drank a small mouthful. After a while he drank another small mouthful. In the wilderness, Luo Feng didn't bring too much food and water, so he had to be frugal every day. Another 7 people going out together. Luo Feng looked through the binoculars and clearly saw the 7 silhouettes of the 7 people leaving the 6-story residential building. Luo Feng frowned and couldn't help but to throw the binoculars onto the bed beside him. Luo Feng massaged the pressure points around his eyes. Squatting all day makes his eyes tired. 7 people going out together every day, they don't even give me a chance. Luo Feng frowned. If this continues until that young master's training ends, I'm afraid I'll still be waiting for nothing. What should I do? Luo Feng swiftly started thinking. There's no chance at all right now. Do I have to wait like this? There's no chance. LuoFeng's eyes flashed and he clenched his teeth. If there's no chance, then I'll create one. Haven't they always been together? I'll force them to split up. Luo Feng lightly tightened the stopper of his water bag. About 3 hours later, the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad were carefully hunting in the outskirts of the monster's nest. Sometimes they advanced, sometimes they dodged, and finally returned to the 6-story residential building where they had been resting. Operation, begin. Luo Feng, who was fully armed, slightly smiled and directly walked out of the room. After that, he swiftly flew downstairs like an ape. After leaving the 18-story residential building, even Luo Feng didn't dare be too arrogant, carefully beginning to search the surrounding area. It was hard to avoid monsters, but it was easy to find them. 15 minutes later, Luo Feng found a group of 2,000 to 3,000 dog-type monsters. This group of dog-type monsters occupied a large machinery factory. Normally, no human fighter would dare to provoke such a large group of monsters. After all, the threat of 2,000 to 3,000 monsters is too terrifying. Whoosh! Huge monsters lay on the ground of the factory, their snores echoing in the air. A thick stench of urine permeated the area. TSK, what a strong beast horde. Luo Feng looked through the gap in the wall. Let's begin. Very soon. Roar. All the monsters in the factory madly howled. The death of dozens of monsters made this gigantic monster horde even more furious. They felt like they were humiliated like never before. Even the leaders of the monster horde, the 2 high-level commander-level lion mastiff monsters, started howling in anger. The entire monster horde immediately chased after them. They sure run fast. The hexagonal shield on Luo Feng's back received a powerful push from his spiritual force. In an instant, Luo Feng transformed into a gust of wind as he howled as he flew. Rumble. There were some mastiff tigers mixed in the lion-mastiff horde. The gigantic monster horde madly chased after Luo Feng. Their speed was just as shocking. 1 second in front was already 70 to 80 meters per second. With such an astonishing speed, it took them only 30 seconds to travel from the factory to the 6-story residential building, which was about 4 miles away. Just 30 seconds. Luo Feng dashed into the 6-story residential building like lightning. On the 6th floor of the 6-story residential building, the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad were resting in an ancient room with 4 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. Actually, when the monster horde roared and chased after Luo Feng, the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad weren't even a bit wary. Because they were at least 4 miles away, and also which part of number 003 city didn't have the roars of monsters. However, after a dozen or so seconds, "There seems to be a battle on our east side," laughed the one-eyed middle-aged man. "Don't mind your own business. Isn't there always a battle between a fighter and a monster horde in number 003 city? Some fighter must have pissed off a monster horde." The Tiger Fang captain, Panya, was very calm. He didn't even have a hint of emotion on his face. Since he's been a fighter for more than a decade, there have been far too many cases of monsters chasing after fighters. However, in the time it took for them to chat, the monster horde seems to be really close. Even the floor is shaking a bit. Almost instantaneously, the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad rushed to the northern window and looked down. They saw that in the staircase of the 6-story residential building, there were large amounts of lion-mastiff monsters and a small amount of tiger-mastiff monsters madly charging towards the staircase. In just a few short seconds, the entire residential building started shaking, as if there was an earthquake. The roars of large amounts of monsters also resounded everywhere. Boom. The door to the room the 7 members of the Thunderbolt Squad were in was smashed open. Lion mastiffs the size of Hummer SUVs rushed in one after another. Not only were the doors smashed into pieces, even the walls collapsed and shattered. The entire residential building trembled under the ravages of more than 1,000 monsters. It was as if the entire residential building could collapse at any moment. Outside the residential building, there were still around 1 to 2,000 lion mastiffs and tiger mastiffs. These monsters couldn't enter at all, so they could only surround the entire residential building. Just imagine the scene of 1 to 2,000 Hummers surrounding a residential building. You can imagine how terrifying it is for so many monsters to surround a residential building. What's going on? The mixed youth immediately screamed as his face turned deathly white. No matter who it was, that the residential building was shaking as if it was about to collapse, that there were large amounts of monsters charging in, and that there were large amounts of monsters surrounding the building below, they would all panic. "Protect the young master. Tiger Fang Squad, bring up the rear." The veteran named Lu roared. Da-da-da-da. Dong Zi's machine gun was already crazily roaring. The bullet shells bounced up and the powerful bullets directly pierced into the bodies of the lion-mastiff monsters. However, even if the monsters were hit by the bullets, they still continued to charge forward. The bald brute, the one-eyed man, and the Tiger Fang captain Panya could only rely on their cold weapons to block the monsters to the side. Peng, peng, peng. The veteran named Lu and the white brute had already brought the mixed youth and jumped out of the window. "Let's go." The Tiger Fang captain roared and was the first to jump out of the window. "Dong Zi, hurry." The one-eyed man roared. Since in terms of fitness level this gunner is the weakest, Gunner Dong Zi also clenched his teeth and jumped out of the window. Finally, the one-eyed middle-aged man and the bald brute jumped out of the window. Actually, a beginner-level warlord fighter can jump down from the height of a 6-story building without getting injured even if he's carrying a few hundred kilograms of weight. However, this time it wasn't flat ground, but a horde of over 1,000 monsters. On the 2nd floor of the residential building, the walls had already collapsed into ruins. In the corner of a room on the 2nd floor, Luo Feng was hiding. Back then, when Luo Feng charged into this room on the 2nd floor, he used his spiritual force to levitate the walls, the marble table, etc. He heavily blocked the entrance to the bathroom he was in and even caused the floor of the 3rd floor to collapse. The cement pillar collapsed and the room was in ruins. The monster didn't even notice Luo Feng when he charged in. After the monsters noticed the Thunderbolt Squad on the 6th floor, the entire horde's attention was focused on the Thunderbolt Squad. Luo Feng stood by the window of the bathroom and stared outside as he listened carefully. They're fighting. Luo Feng could even faintly hear the angry roars coming from the 6th floor. As the 3 phantoms quickly fell from the sky, their jumping LuoFeng's eyes flashed and 2 black throwing knives immediately floated in front of him. Of these 3 figures, the first to land was the old veteran named Lu and the mixed youth, followed by the white brute, and then the 4th person, the Tiger Fang captain Panya, landed. Roar. Protect the young master, charge out. The moment the old veteran named Lu landed, his 2 legs were like 2 battle axes as he fiercely kicked the 2 lion mastiff monsters beside him. Instantly, the 2 lion mastiff monsters howled and flew backwards, knocking into 7 to 8 lion mastiff and tiger mastiff monsters beside them, causing chaos in the surroundings. The white brute wielded a 2-handed greatsword and crazily charged forward. The Tiger Fang captain Panya also supported the white brute. Of the 2, one was extremely strong, the other was sinister and strange. The 2 of them were like a bulldozer sweeping away the monsters in front of them. A low roar that sounded like rolling thunder suddenly rang out. Not far away there was a huge monster that was almost 4 to 5 meters tall, even bigger than a truck. Its entire body was silvery white, and its entire body was faintly reflecting rays of light. It was obvious that there was a layer of silver scales on its fur, and there was a small bulge on its forehead, as if something was about to break out of its fur. This was one of the 2 high-level commander-level monsters in the monster horde. A high-level commander-level lion mastiff. Boom. With just one leap, this lion mastiff leader was like a silver ray of light as it flew over 20 meters, directly into the Thunderbolt Squad's camp. Panya, protect the young master and hurry out. The old veteran named Lu roared, holding a battle blade, and shouted, "Ka Long." Understood, the white brute also roared. The old veteran named Lu and the white brute practically went to meet the lion mastiff leader at the same time. There was no helping it if they didn't meet it head-on. Then the mixed youth would be in great danger. Roar, the lion mastiff leader roared, its body became a bit blurry, and its 2 claws directly clawed at the 2 humans in front of it. Clang. Crack. The 2 high-level warlord fighters and the high-level commander-level monster fought in a chaotic battle. In an instant, the surrounding lion mastiff monsters were affected and sent flying. Even the walls and the cement floor were affected. It was a mess. With the help of a large number of other lion mastiff monsters, this lion mastiff leader was on par with the old man surnamed Lu and the white man. Gunner Dong Zi, the bald brawny man, and the one-eyed middle-aged man also jumped down. On the other hand, the one-eyed middle-aged man, the bald brawny man, and the gunman Dong Zi were in a state of panic. If the old man surnamed Lu, the burly white man, the mixed-blood youth, and Panya's group of 4 dared to charge into the herd of beasts, then they would not have dared to do so. However, the one-eyed middle-aged man and his 2 companions were in a very sorry state amidst the horde of beasts. "Quick, let's go," the one-eyed middle-aged man shouted. "Quick." Da-da-da-da. Dong Zi dragged the machine gun and wantonly fired at the surrounding monsters. Just then, roar. Following a heart-shaking roar, a similarly huge silver-white silhouette leapt down from the 6th floor. Immediately, the lion mastiff leader that was fighting the old man surnamed Lu and the white brawny man immediately let out an excited roar, echoing the huge silhouette that swooped down from the sky. Another lion mastiff leader. Both of them were high-level commander level. The expressions of the old man surnamed Lu and the white brawny man changed. They glanced at the Tiger Fang Captain Panya and the mixed-blood youth who were already far away. Before, when the 2 of them were dragging large amounts of monsters, Panya and the mixed-blood youth were already quite far away. "Quick, let's go. Let's go." The white brawny man and the old man surnamed Lu didn't dare to hesitate at all. Even without the monster horde, they wouldn't dare to fight these 2 high-level commander-level monsters head-on. And there's still a large amount of monsters around. Roar, roar. The 2 high-level commander-level lion mastiff leaders roared as they charged over. How could they let these 2 damned humans escape? On the 2nd floor of the ruined 6-story residential building, LuoFeng was calmly staring outside from the bathroom window. When the white brawny man and the old man surnamed Lu turned around and ran, the one-eyed middle-aged man, the bald brawny man, and Dong Zi were still struggling to escape. LuoFeng let out a smile. Now's the time. 2 black throwing knives instantly shot downwards from the window. Almost through the gaps between the large amount of lion mastiff monsters, they ferociously shot towards the one-eyed middle-aged man and the bald brawny man. Unsuspecting. If it was an open fight, the intermediate-level warlord-level one-eyed middle-aged man could still defend a bit, but this kind of sneak attack. Piu. Piu. The heads of the one-eyed middle-aged man and the bald brawny man were directly pierced through and exploded like a watermelon. Following that, 2 dark beams of light pierced through the head of the crazily shooting gunner Dong Zi. When the one-eyed middle-aged man and his 2 companions died, their hearts were filled with fear, doubt, and unwillingness. They didn't even know what killed them. Rumble, the 3 human corpses were instantly pounced on by large amounts of monsters. The lion mastiff and tiger mastiff monsters excitedly tore at the flesh of the human corpses. In the bathroom on the 2nd floor, Luo Feng calmly watched the scene of the 2 lion mastiff leaders chasing the old man surnamed Lu and the white brawny man. 5 of the 6 members of the Tiger Fang squad have already died. Luckily, everything went according to plan. Even though I did it, they don't know Luo Feng was quite satisfied with what he did. Since deep down Luo Feng didn't want to offend that mixed youth. As long as you aren't an idiot, you can tell that this young master has a huge background. So, when the members of the Tiger Fang squad were together with that young master, Luo Feng didn't dare to attack. And because of the monster horde's attack just now, the 7 members of the squad were split into 3 groups. The mixed youth and Panyo were at the front, the old man surnamed Lu and the white brawny man were busy with the 2 high-level commander-level monsters, and the last group was the one-eyed middle-aged man and the other 2. Since the mixed youth, the old man surnamed Lu, and the white brawny man were already far away and couldn't see the situation of the 3, Luo Feng attacked. However, this time, this young master is probably in big trouble, thought Luo Feng to himself. But suddenly, a blurry human shadow appeared in Luo Feng's vision. This blurry human shadow was holding a rod-like weapon. With a flash, it traveled a few hundred meters and directly charged into the monster horde. Rumble. After a series of shocking explosions, the dozens of lion mastiff and tiger mastiff monsters around Panya and the mixed youth were instantly turned into meat paste. At this time, the sonic booms caused by the horrifying speed that far surpassed the speed of sound rang out. That shadow moved again. It directly arrived in front of the 2 lion mastiff leaders. The 2 lion mastiff leaders immediately howled in fear and tried to run away. Boom. The rod-like weapon smashed fiercely onto one of the lion mastiff leaders like lightning. The silver lion mastiff leader was sent flying around 20 meters into the air. All of the scales on its body were shattered and fresh red blood sprayed everywhere. And right when this lion mastiff leader was sent flying around 20 meters into the air, that shadow chased after the other lion mastiff leader and smashed it as well. This lion mastiff leader was like a bowling ball as it smashed into the large amounts of lion mastiff and tiger mastiff monsters behind it. The lion mastiff and tiger mastiff monsters that got close were directly killed by the shockwaves, while the large amounts of lion mastiff and tiger mastiff monsters were knocked away. That high-level commander-level lion mastiff leader flipped a few times on the ground before finally falling motionlessly. Large amounts of fresh blood flowed out of the lion mastiff leader's mouth, nose and ears. And at this time, the lion mastiff leader that was sent flying also crashed onto the ground and stopped moving. In an instant, 2 high-level commander-level monsters were killed. AWO, in the lion mastiff and tiger mastiff monster horde, there were a few other low-level commander-level monsters. However, at this time they were completely terrified. They all howled and the entire horde immediately collapsed and ran away. At this time the shadow condensed and became real. Only now did Luo Feng see this person's appearance clearly. This was a huge brute that was around 2.3 meters tall. His face was like it was carved by a knife, and his entire body was wearing a gray battle uniform. In his hand was a gigantic wolf-tooth mace. The spikes on the mace made people shudder with fear. That's insane. Luo Feng looked at the 2 lifeless lion mastiff leader corpses and was completely stunned. He was so scared that he didn't even dare to breathe loudly. This is definitely a war god level fighter. It has to be. I better be careful. If he finds out that I'm here, he'll drag me out. That'll be troublesome. Luo Feng didn't even dare to retract the throwing knives that he originally shot out, letting them sink into the ground. Uncle Li, the mixed youth ran over and said gratefully. Mr. Li. The old veteran named Lu and the white brute both bowed respectfully. The huge brute laughed as he looked at the mixed youth. Li Wei, when your dad received your SOS signal, he found out that there were only 2 war gods around you, me and Brother Wang. He immediately notified me. Luckily, I wasn't too far away, so I made it in time. Uncle Wang is here too? The mixed youth's eyes flashed. At this time, as if a gust of wind blew past, a blurry shadow appeared in the surroundings and solidified. This person was wearing a green battle uniform and had a handsome face. At first glance he looked like he was around 20 or 30 years old. Uncle Wang, yelled the mixed youth. Look at your sorry state, the man said with a faint smile. The white brute and the old veteran named Lu didn't dare to make a sound. However, the Tiger Fang captain Panya kept looking around. When he saw the battle uniforms, machine guns and corpses, his eyes couldn't help but to turn red. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming great videos.